If your ultimate goal is total control, you need to have a population that has no national identity, that has no identity, period. That identity can be fluxed and can be moved whenever convenient for the people on top. If people have an identity and know who they are and know where they stand, they're a lot harder to control. And I think if you make all of that fluid at every level, it's a lot easier to exert your will over them because they don't have their feet firmly on the ground, right? Well, if the banks are deplatforming people, you can't use their financial system. Are you
Right.
going to go to the CBDC land where eventually you won't be able to spend money without like a microchip in your hand and all of this
Right.
stuff? Well, if the banks are deplatforming people, you can't use their financial system. Are you
Right.
going to go to the CBDC land where eventually you won't be able to spend money without like a microchip in your hand and all of this
Right.
stuff? You look at the World Economic Forum, a lot of the banks are very
Gone.
involved, and when you are in bed with the banks and the banks are in bed with you,
You're fine.
it's very hard to go against that in today's world. And they're making it even harder on the little people in Canada that protested with the trucker protest. They were deplatformed, not from social media but from the financial system. And I think that's going to become increasingly common. It's already happening to a lot of people that I work with, taken off of PayPal, having trouble with their
Sure.
banks, Venmo. I mean,
Sure.
and I think that's going to, become increasingly commonplace, and that's how they're going to try and force compliance. And, a big part of this, you have the move towards a central bank digital currency and all of that at the same time, which is programmable money. The state decides whether you save or you spend. They decide what you can and can't buy and all this stuff. And all the central banks, even on the, in places like Russia, where Vladimir Putin talks a good game about nationalism and protecting our culture, they're going full steam ahead with that too.
It's the way you control a population.
Yeah. And I think all these governments are really interested right now in domestic control. Well, if the banks are deplatforming people, you can't use their financial system. Are you
Right.
going to go to the CBDC land where eventually you won't be able to spend money without like a microchip in your hand and all of this
Right.
stuff? There's obvious red lines people can't cross. How are you going to feed your family? How are you going to keep your house heated in winter? Basic needs. I think we should probably be taking some lessons from the Amish, to be honest. I think,
Right?
I think
I've
they
been
got a
saying
lot of
that
stuff
lately,
right.
that the Amish, they're going to be fine. They're going to be fine. We have
outsourced
everything.
our needs to corporations that want to enslave us. So we have to start producing our own stuff at a local level. It's all about exit and build, and that's what we have to do. And the more people that do that, the better off we will be. The real question is how accustomed are Americans to convenience, and will we be enslaved by that convenience or not? And I